Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Let's begin with the headlines. No Kings rallies erupt across the United States as protesters denounce Trump policies. Federal government deploys technical aid corps volunteers to Sierra Leone. And NDLEA cautions on cannabis oil as scientists chart Nigeria's policy path. And we begin in the United States, where mass protests have erupted across the country as millions joined No Kings rallies to voice anger over President Donald Trump's leadership and policies, marking one of the largest coordinated demonstrations since his presidency began. Justin Bemunyi reports.
That we show this country and the world that we are the majority!
The demonstrations remained largely peaceful, though tensions flared in downtown Los Angeles late Saturday, where police dispersed a small group using non-lethal rounds and tear gas after some agitators defied orders to clear the streets. Organizers estimated more than 7 million people participated nationwide, transforming public squares, avenues, and city centers into a massive display of dissent under the banner of No Kings. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Gazans have waited outside the newly reopened Bank of Palestine in Deir al-Balah in the central Gaza Strip. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered the Rafah border crossing into the Gaza Strip to remain closed as there are fears that Hamas may regroup and pose further threats to peace. Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
Residents of Gaza waited outside the newly reopened Bank of Palestine in central Gaza Strip to check their banking applications, transactions and accounts. Citizens spoken to wonder how they are going to survive as they cannot buy anything in the market, unable to open their accounts, further wondering how they can arrange daily meals. Gazans say they hope and pray the war is generally over, willing to endure further the strain of however long return to normal life and living in Gaza Strip is going to take. In the meantime, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered the Rafah border crossing into Gaza remain closed, alleging that Hamas is using the crossing to rebuild arsenal, regroup and pose for the threat to the peace being built upon in the Gaza Strip. Egyptians have described the closing of Rafah border as a further threat to the peace worked upon in Gaza Strip by all concerned. Needed humanitarian aid reached the needy via Rafah border. Should it be shut down, lives and livelihoods that could be saved will go to waste. Egypt has worked towards getting humanitarian aid to Gazans. With the current ceasefire, reprieve ought to have arrived for Gazans. Suddenly, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is demanding to shut the Rafah border crossing, which is the mainstay for aid to reach Gazans. Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the crossing will be opened after Hamas hands over the remaining corpses of the kidnapped Israelis, as both sides continue to trade blame over peace deal violations. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Paris's iconic Louvre Museum is temporarily shut down after historic pieces of jewelry were stolen. The robbers allegedly broke into the premises using a goods lift to access the Apollo Gallery. Here again is Kolo Mohammed with details.
The thieves, said to be carrying small chainsaws, escaped on a scooter with 9 items of jewelry. No injuries are reported and police are investigating at the site. The museum has posted on social media that it will be closed for the rest of the day for exceptional reasons. It is the largest museum in the world, with nearly 73,000 square meters of exhibition space, more than the size of 10 football pitches. It was originally built in 1546 as a place for the French royal family. King Francis I, its first resident, was a lover of art and intended to showcase his collections. Subsequent kings greatly expanded the crown's art holdings, with Louis XIV even acquiring the art collection of English King Charles I after his execution in the English Civil War. The collection remained mainly private until the outbreak of the French Revolution in 1789, and in 1793 the Louvre opened as a public art gallery. Kola Muhammad, NTA News.
Now, the debate over cannabis oil took center stage as the Nigerian Academy of Science gathered experts, policymakers and the NDLEA to discuss its possible therapeutic use and regulation. While stakeholders explored evidence and policy options, the NDLEA maintains that Nigeria must tread with caution, warning against local consumption amid rising drug abuse rates. Justin Bemunyi reports.
It is a plant with promise and peril. Across the world, cannabis oil is hailed by some for its healing potential, easing pain, calming seizures, and aiding recovery. But in Nigeria, the question is not what it can do. It is whether it should be allowed. That question took center stage in Abuja, where the Nigerian Academy of Science convened a landmark workshop themed Cannabis Oil Debate, the path forward for Nigeria. Scientists, policymakers, and regulators came together, not to argue, but to examine the facts, the risks, and the realities. At the heart of it all, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, whose chairman, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, urged balance and caution. Marwa warned that while cannabis oil is being studied for medical use, its dangers are real, from addiction to mental health challenges, in a country already facing a serious drug abuse crisis. He emphasized that the NDLEA is not opposed to science, but insists on strict safeguards before any shift in policy.
In essence, we are not opposed to the idea of exporting the oil to those who desire it, but such must be strictly controlled, licensed, and monitored by the NDLEA, with such process located only within the export-free zones.
The Nigerian Academy of Science said the goal is to reach a data-driven national consensus, one rooted in science, not speculation.
It's useful for those who are having epilepsy. It's used for those who have stroke. Those are positive. But what are the negative? Many young men have psychosis in town.
As scientists continue their study, the NDLEA says its position will be guided by the Nigerian Academy of Science's final report, a reminder that on the cannabis oil debate, evidence must lead the way. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
In the meantime, issues related to genetic engineering in crops have sparked debate among scientists and consumers. However, the federal government maintains that approved GMO seeds in the country are safe for human and animal consumption, as well as for the environment. Musa Baba Aliu has details.
Nigeria has approved 3 genetically modified seeds to enhance yields and improve resistance to drought and pests. These seeds are cotton, cowpea and maize. Scientists believe that in addition to increasing productivity, the seeds reduce the need for excessive chemical use to control pests and diseases. However, misconceptions about the variety have created fears among farmers. To address this, a sensitization campaign was launched to educate farmers on the safety of the seeds. Researchers from the National Biotechnology Research and Development Agency demonstrated to farmers that the seeds are not poisonous and can be replanted.
You have the right to get every factual information about this technology, so that when you decide to go for the seeds, you're doing it from an informed background. And we, as a government agency, we have to provide you with those scientific, evidence-based, factual information about this technology.
The awareness campaign included a visit to a cowpea plantation along the Kefi Abuja road. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The federal government has formally handed over 4 skilled volunteers to Sierra Leone as part of the Nigerian Technical Aid Crop Corps scheme. The deployed team comprises highly qualified experts, including 2 professors, a doctor of philosophy and the holder of a master's degree. Their collective expertise spans the critical fields of law, medicine and science. And in a statement, the Foreign Affairs Minister points out that this deployment is a direct fulfillment of President Bola Tinubu's commitment to strengthening bilateral and multilateral ties with sister nations across Africa, including the Caribbean, as part of his broader vision for South-South cooperation. The ministry says the volunteers will be integrated into various institutions within Sierra Leone, where they will contribute their knowledge and skills to support the country's human capacity and human capital development goals. The Nigerian government expresses its appreciation to the government of Sierra Leone for the warm reception accorded to the volunteers, and the statement underscores that this initiative reflects Nigeria's belief in collective prosperity and a shared destiny for all African nations and the Caribbean. It further emphasizes Nigeria's resolve to continuously explore new avenues of international cooperation for the purpose of mutual development and regional growth. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has named former Nigerian Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, as head of its election observation mission for Côte d'Ivoire's presidential election set for October 25th, 2025. Professor Osinbajo will lead a distinguished team of West African observers to ensure a peaceful and credible electoral process. The mission, guided by the ECOWAS Supplementary Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance, will engage key stakeholders, collaborate with other observer groups, and evaluate the conduct of the polls. This deployment highlights ECOWAS' commitment to fostering peace, stability, and transparent elections across the region. This is the news on NTA International. We'll take a short break. More reports when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back. The National Assembly says it will continue to promote legislations that enhance the operations and welfare of armed forces personnel. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, stated this at the inauguration of newly built residential quarters for military officers in Abuja.
In the name of the Almighty God, and for service to humanity.
These new housing units are part of ongoing efforts by the Defense Headquarters to enhance the living conditions of its personnel by promoting their mental well-being and family stability.
Welfare as a strategic pillar of combat effectiveness.
To the Speaker, House of Representatives, the housing project is a visible expression of the nation's commitment to the morale and operational effectiveness of the armed forces, and lauded the Defense Headquarters for prioritizing personnel welfare as a cornerstone for success in operations.
When welfare is a priority rather than an afterthought, the entire defense system improves. I wish to assure you of the continued support of the National Assembly. We do not take your sacrifices for granted. We honor your service. We will advocate for your welfare and will stand with you to secure the peace and stability upon which development depends.
The link road and newly constructed buildings are designed not just for convenience, but also reflects our deep understanding that operational successes begin with the welfare and morale of our troops. By improving their quality of life, we are investing directly in the strength, efficiency, and the unity of our forces.
To commission this very important link road.
Phase 1 of the inaugurated projects at the Niger Barracks extension includes 31 furnished apartments and access roads linking Mambila Barracks. Army Headquarters Command Mess and the Defense Intelligence Agency in Abuja. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria police is raising the bar in its response to emerging security threats with the training of officers, inspectors, as well as the rank and file in Nasarawa State on identified, responding to and neutralizing explosive devices, among other chemical and radiological materials. Aliu Tijani reports that the 4-week training is to equip the personnel to not only respond to security challenges, but to also embrace preventive measures.
The increasing use of improvised explosive devices, the proliferation of chemical and radiological materials, as well as the changing tactics of criminals and terrorist groups have made it imperative for the police to always be ahead of the criminals by equipping its personnel with requisite knowledge and tactics. This training at ND Hills in Nasarawa State is one of such moves in the police's continuous effort to confront emergency security challenges and stay ahead. For the next 4 weeks, the selected officers, inspectors, as well as rank and file of the police force will undergo intensive classroom instructions, practical field exercise to safety identity, respond and neutralize explosives, among other materials planted by the terrorist groups in the society.
Training is being organized in line with the strategic vision of the Inspector General of Police to build a modern, well-trained, well-equipped police force capable of effective countering asymmetric threats, terrorism and other forms of violent extremism confronting our dear nation.
We provide training and we give them the attitude, skills and knowledge which will equip them to be able at the end of this training to search, detect, and even deal with any explosive remnants of war, unexploded ordnance, and any IEDs.
With their spirit high, participants are expected to deploy knowledge and skills gained during the training to ensure a safe and secure country for all. Aliu Tijani, NTA News.
Elsewhere, Nigeria's immigration system is set for a major overhaul as the federal government moves to strengthen efficiency and protect national interests. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo reaffirmed this commitment at a stakeholders sensitization forum in Kano, highlighting ongoing reforms in expatriate quotas, visa policy and the post-amnesty program. Awal Salisu reports.
Gathered in this hall are government officials, industry leaders, and representatives from the private sector, all with a shared focus, which is to understand and adapt to the evolving immigration policies. Key discussions centered on the implementation of the expatriate quota reform, the introduction of a new visa regime, and the post-amnesty program. The new visa regime is designed to simplify entry procedures, attract skilled professionals, and boost investment.
There's a synergy between the ministry and Nigerian Immigration Service. When the ministry gives approval for these positions, the Immigration Service is already seeing it and immediately commences the process of the relevant visas for these expatriates or their residence permits.
These reforms align with the federal government's broader policy direction towards a more secure, business-friendly, and technology-driven immigration regime.
We align with the various initiatives of the ministry and the NIS because we are convinced that they are not punitive but restorative.
These reforms are aimed at promoting efficiency, enhancing national security, and creating a more transparent system for managing foreign participation in Nigeria's work environment. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Consignments of illicit drugs concealed in frozen snails, electrical bulbs and female clothes bound for the United States, United Kingdom and Democratic Republic of Congo have been intercepted by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport and a courier company in Lagos. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim has details.
Two suspects, a UK-based public health assistant and a cargo agent linked to the attempt to export the illicit substances, have been taken into custody. These followed the discovery of 15 parcels of skunk, a strain of cannabis concealed in 10 pieces of giant rechargeable electrical bulbs meant for air freight to the Democratic Republic of Congo at the export shed of the Lagos airport. Additionally, frozen snails were used to conceal 2,300 pills of tramadol.
18, 19, 22.
In Adamawa, a suspect was intercepted at an NDLEA checkpoint in Namtari Yola South local government area with 38,270 pills of tramadol concealed in a spare tire, boots and door compartments of the Honda. The suspect was attempting to smuggle the drugs from Benin Republic to Nigeria. Not less than 53,250 kilograms of skunk were destroyed on 21.3 hectares of cannabis farm in Ekiti State. Additionally, 70 bags of the same psychoactive substance were recovered from the three suspects. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
Mourners gathered in the western town of Bondo for the state funeral of Kenyan opposition leader Raila Odinga. The wife of the deceased was among thousands of mourners, including President William Ruto, former presidents of Kenya Uhuru Kenyatta and Nigeria's Olusegun Obasanjo, who eulogized his unifying force in African politics, calling him a political engineer.
The soul of our nation is aching because of the loss of a great hero of our nation.
We shall miss your insights. We shall miss your thoughtfulness. We shall miss your wisdom.
For me, I've lost a brother. I've lost a friend. I've lost a confidant. I've lost a co-worker in the vineyard of Africa.
The state funeral held days after commemorations attended by tens of thousands of people. Let's now join Suleiman Musa for the latest in the world of sports.
The Abuja chapter of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN FCT1, celebrated its annual Community Social Responsibility Day with various activities including donations, fitness events, and a friendly football match under the theme, Health is Wealth. The day concluded with games and a mixed gender football match where participants praised the initiative for fostering health, unity, and community service. Organizers promised to introduce more initiative and inclusive activities in future events.
For the purpose of keeping fit, we decided to organize this kind of event.
Moments, a beautiful experience playing with our men.
Elsewhere, Rivers United had a disappointing start to their CAF Champions League campaign, losing 1-0 to Black Bulls of Mozambique in the first leg of the second preliminary round on Saturday. Despite Rivers United dominating possession for significant stretches, they failed to convert several clear opportunities that could have altered the outcome of the game. The Pride of Rivers now faces a challenging task as they prepare for the crucial return leg in Uyo next weekend, where they must win by at least 2 goals to progress to the group stage of Africa's premier football competition. And finally to tennis, Yannick Sinner claimed a commanding victory over a rival Carlos Alcaraz to win the lucrative Six Kings Slam in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Sinner replaced as world number 1 by Carlos Alcaraz following the US Open in September, exacted revenge for his defeat in the New York final with a 6-2, 6-4 win. With this victory, the 24-year-old Italian earned $6 million from the tournament, while the pair split the 4 Grand Slam titles between them this season. Sinner was dominant from the outset against Alcaraz. With Sport Update, Suleiman Musa, NTA News.
And Sports Update concludes the news on NTA International at this time. Many thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adigunloye.